A new interactive video game is about to hit store shelves, and it takes gaming violence to a whole new level.
So horrifying, it has been banned in Great Britain. It is now set to be released here in the U.S. on Halloween. It is called Manhunt 2.
And it is being described as one of the most violent and gruesome video games ever produced for a mass market.
You actually do the stabbing. So you grab the knife, you are over your victim, plunging the knife into the victim as you play the game.
Violence in video games is nothing new. The difference is you're actually committing the violence. By doing this, I can hit somebody with a sledgehammer or a knife.
You're involved in a macabre sort of way.
And yet all these games have a moral code to them where if you do certain things, it's really going to hurt you.
Nintendo did not develop the game, but stresses it is rated for mature audiences and parents can block the game.
Hello everybody, happy October and welcome to Wicked Wednesdays, the sequel to last year's Tuesday Tremors, where we will be taking a look at a few horror games this time around, leading up to the 31st. So my first pick of the week, in case you didn't read the dang title of this video, is none other than Manhunt by Rockstar. Not Manhunt 2, even though I just showed you a slew of reporters who were in a bit of a frenzy over a release of a game that might have brought the next Armageddon. Well, it's 2018, and we're all still here.
Manhunt was a controversial game released in 2003, developed mostly by Rockstar North. You play as death row inmate James Earl Cash, who is given another chance at life by the ruthless and disgusting snuff film director Lionel Starkweather, voiced by none other than Brian Cox in a great performance. As Cash, you journey across a metropolis named Carcer City, while brutally killing members of various gangs and military outfits who've been paid by Starkweather to hunt you down. As this goes on, Starkweather films you via thousands of cameras placed all over the city while you murder these people in gruesome detail with scythes, baseball bats, shards of glass, crowbars, and various firearms. Too long, didn't listen? Basically, survive the night, do as you're told, and maybe, just maybe you'll get off scot-free. Or so you might think.
This is the kind of sick game that leaves you in disgust with yourself and the decisions you make, and yet you might also be very entertained as you play it because you never knew you were actually as sick as me.
One of the cool aspects to Manhunt is how the game instructs you to set the mood before playing. Turn off the lights, close the drapes, lock the door, then get ready to kill. Rockstar knew they were taking a gamble with a game like this in their already boundary-pushing roster, and they set the horrific mood pretty well. The majority of the game is centered on hiding in the shadows, sneaking around hallways and corridors, and butchering your foe as hardcore as you can in order to progress. You have to move softly at times and improvise to get an enemy's attention. For a game as old as it is, Manhunt plays extremely well and provides a constant challenge. I remember having to repeat the same checkpoint quite a few times in the game's final stages, which are almost unforgiving. Something I absolutely love too is this other imprisoned villain the game hints at named Pigsy, a naked, fat, and illiterate serial killer who boasts a stitched-together pig mask and a chainsaw as his chosen weapon of duty. Anytime you get a glimpse of this character in Starkweather's archived footage, you know it's only a matter of time before you have to face him too. Did I mention his schlong just hangs everywhere he walks as he hunts you down? I also love the soundtrack. In my opinion, it's a masterpiece of dark wave, electronic, ambient music reminiscent of classic John Carpenter, like Assault on Precinct 13 and Prince of Darkness. Of course, now 80s synthwave is just about everywhere you look, but back in 2003 there weren't many movies or shows, let alone games, that really took you back to that period like this soundtrack does. Now sure, Manhunt is far from a perfect game. I can recall beating up baddies who spotted me with sheer luck just by finding ways to break the AI's routine instead of taking them down with more stealth the way the game intends. Then you have the main character, James Earl Cash, who is also as one-dimensionally thin as they come. He doesn't have many speaking lines to give us a sense of who he even is. You could defend it to a point that it is more focused on you as a survivor, taking on hordes of corrupt, grungy, evil people, and that you don't get much of a chance to breathe unless you turn the game off. Still, as Rockstar characters go, he's pretty stale. And finally, when the game starts becoming more of a third-person shooter a bit, the combat starts to suffer. Not only does it make the game a little less scary, but shooting people in the game, even if it's an instant headshot, is stiff and clunky. You find yourself missing the more time-consuming pressure of taking out a bad guy the most brutal way possible with whatever's in your hand at the time. But to tie this all back to the game's controversy, some people really don't like it for the extreme violence and exploitation. It did follow in the footsteps of some topical violent times like the Columbine shooting and 9/11. And yeah, the executions and violence is way more disturbing than your average shoot or beat 'em up, even in the sound effects. But I don't think the game is as cynical or shallow as some critics are letting on. As the player, you are exposed to a world that has lost almost all of its humanity, a kill or be killed scenario, and you are challenged to play by this world's rules in order to survive.
Fall in and listen up, Eddie. It's time to get out there and nail that bastard.
Furthermore, it also comments on the lengths people go to produce real-life violence on camera, hence the coined term snuff film.
While I find the game's sequel, Manhunt 2, to be a decent game, although a bit more misguided, I don't believe it holds a candle to Manhunt, which really does have a staple in gaming history, and I only hope that there is a possible third game on the horizon. Definitely recommend if you want to play something that is very horrific and chilling, but I'm sure I'm not the first to say this, it's not for everybody. So here's a quick sample.
What does he mean? We've all been carrying you. I see him!
You're making me proud of you, son. Really. You're a 1 in a million find. You're doing great, kid. Grade A stuff. Now, find your way to the cellar door.